Hello everyone, I hope you all are doing fine and safe at home. So today we are going to discuss one interesting topic about the past of our country. So when you're talking about the past, one thing will come to our mind, that is the horrendous British rule. So why the Britishers came to India? For the purpose of trade. By the time they left India in 1947, they had already ruled over India for more than 100 years. So unbelievably, the Britishers become rich, but Indians lost their life and livelihoods. By the time they left India, the India was splitted into very many unhappy parts. So this chapter talks about the history of India from 1757 to 1857 till the first war of independence, that is 1857. So these are the points we are going to discuss detail in this lesson. So now let us move on to the chapter The Glimpses of Past, written by S.T. Savanth. So what is the meaning of glimpses? That means the momentary or the partial view. So here the author has given the excerpt in the form of comic about these incidents that happened during those time. So here this chapter is a pictorial representation of 9 main incidents of the first war of independence, namely the martyrs, the company conquest, British rule, Ram Mohan Roy, oppression, dissatisfaction, the sparks, revolt, the fight for freedom. So now let us start with the part 1, the martyrs. So what is the meaning of martyrs? Those who die in the war, they are called martyrs. So this is the first picture in your textbook. This scene represents a function that took place in Delhi. So you can see that the famous singer Lata Mangeshkar is singing a famous patriotic song about the martyrs who gave up their life for independence. In that function, the leaders such as Nehru, Indira Gandhi, Lal Bahadur Shastri, they are listening to the song. So the song urged everyone to remember the sacrifice of freedom fighters. On the time, the Nehru is reminder of Gandhiji, Bhagat Singh and Netaji and many other freedom fighters. So this song, A Mere Vadan Ke Logo, is always being close to all the Indian hearts because it reminds us the sacrifice made by the respectable freedom fighters. Because of them only we are leading the happy lives today, right? Part 2 is about the company's conquest from the year 1757 to 1849. So here the companies refers to the British East India Company. I hope you have studied about it in your social subjects, isn't it? So what is the meaning of conquest? Here the conquest means victory. So here they have given the map of India in the year 1765, where you can see the majorly in the yellow portion under the Indian princess, whereas the pink portion was under the British territory. Okay. So in India, 1757, the British held a very strong position. Of course, they had superior weapons, but our Indian princess was very short-sighted, which means they had innate aims. For example, they started fighting among themselves to capture other lands. Even they took help from the British because they had superior weapons. So with the help of that, they started to defeat their rivals. So the British took advantage of this. Then they held a very strong position in India. At the same time, we cannot say all the princes are like this. So there came the Tipu Sultan. He is the king of Mysore who was far-sighted and died fighting against the British. So then many people reacting to this situation differently. For example, some people thought that British was helping them, while the other they realized that the British making them as a slave. So these are the things happened during the year 1757 to 1849. Okay. So now we'll move on to the part 3, that is the British rule from the year 1765 to 1836. So during those time, the religious preachers, they started preaching the practices like untouchability and child marriage. So here, the preaching means teaching. So in the religious person, they started teaching the practices like untouchability and child marriage. Here the child marriage refers to the marriage of boy or girl before the age of 18. So here the untouchability means discriminating the people based on their color, age and caste, etc. So because of all these practices, the Indian had totally lost their respect, and the British took advantage of this and they started to scorn them, they started to humiliate them. So later the farmers and artists were heavily taxed, then the import from the English became tax free. But the very worst part was they cut the thumb of the artist. So these are the incident happened during the period of 1765 to 1836. So here the part 4 is about Ram Mohan Rai from the year 1772 to 1832. So later there came the Raja Ram Mohan Rai from Bengal, one of the freedom fighter who understood the problem happening in our country. So he began to preach everyone that all the religions are same, and he tried to convince the people that not to follow the religious practices such as untouchability and child marriage. So he also very much passionate towards the science, technology and knowledge. So even he went to England, there he met the British people and he tried to convince them that if they are ruling the country, they have to look after their subject too, like that. So then slowly he started his own newspaper through which he started to communicate with the masses of people for the freedom fighting. But the British people, they came to know about this and they stopped his newspaper in the year of 1823. So here the part 5 is about the oppression from the year 1765 to 1835. So what is the meaning of oppressed? So which means the control in a cruel manner. So in the year 1818 the British planned the resolution that any Indian could be jailed without a trial. And the British started making money and fortune. And later, the end of the year 1829, they were exporting the goods from Britain worth 7,000 crores to India and they become very much rich. The General Governor Bending reported back to his country that the bone of Indian waivers or bleaching plan of India. So what is the line means? It means that British had been making riches, they had been prospering over the ruin of Indian industries. Right? So like that, so this is the first part of my explanation. So in the next off, we will see in the next session. I hope you all understood the first off. So go through the first 5 headings. Thank you.